Hello everyone and welcome to All Things Watched. In this video we are going to talk about the brand new Amazon Prime original series, which is of course Fallout. Now for anybody that doesn't know or is not familiar with the Fallout franchise, this is a series that is based on the video game franchise of the same name, Fallout. I can remember even when I was growing up with like PlayStation 2, I think was the first time I can remember seeing it, but maybe it was on PlayStation 1, maybe PlayStation 3, maybe it is 3, maybe I'm getting mixed up, maybe it was PlayStation 3. It was either 2 or 3 was my first time seeing Fallout, and I was a big fan with it. In fact, when I actually bought the PlayStation system, the gaming system during that time, not only was I relatively young, but the system specifically that I bought actually came with a Fallout video game. I'm pretty sure it was like a package deal where you buy it and it was like a Fallout edition of the PlayStation or whatever it was. And honestly, I really enjoyed the video games. I don't really remember much about them other than the fact that they were really cool, awesome, action-packed first-person shooters. And so Amazon, I guess, have acquired the rights to do a Fallout series, and basically they have released it. And of course, it had a stacked cast, phenomenal cast. You had Ella Purnell, who portrays one of the three main characters, Lucy McLean, and then you had Aaron Moulton, who portrayed another one of the three main characters, Maximus, and then you have Walton Goggins, who portrayed Cooper Howard, who was also nicknamed or referred to as the Ghoul. And that is literally where the series starts. It literally starts in the very first episode introducing literally the pilot episode introduces Lucy, Maximus, and the Ghoul, and that is literally where the story picks up. Now I will say in the very first episode, when we actually see the fall of man, sort of speak, how we get to this post-apocalyptic world, the special effects were phenomenal. You could tell that there was a lot of care and a lot of money and a lot of budget put into this film, or into this series. You can tell that Amazon really did not cheap out. The special effects were phenomenal. I absolutely love the sequence with all the bombs going off when you've seen, I believe it was Cooper on the horse going by. Like, it was so cool. And whatnot, and the special effects really all throughout it was great. And even some characters that were not really main characters, who were just kind of like one-off characters, they might have been in one episode or maybe like 2 episodes at most, even those characters I thought were very compelling and very interesting, and I thought they did a really good job at incorporating even these secondary sort of treachery type characters, if that makes sense. So in terms of the story itself, it was a pretty basic, pretty simple story, and the baseline, really all it is about 3 of these different characters who are all sort of on this vengeance, or on this I guess you could say revenge, almost retaliation type of mission, so to speak, but not really. Like Lucy's main objective is to find her father. Something happens in the very first episode in which her father ends up sort of disappearing, or maybe even getting abducted. You have to watch to see, but anyways, her whole story is about her getting back to her father. Then you have Cooper Howard, who really is also known as the Ghoul. His whole objective, which you don't really find out until the very last episode, so I won't tell you what his purpose is, but his purpose is also sort of he is trying to find a certain group of people and whatnot, and so he's really brutal, and every now and again throughout the series, not every single episode, but every now and again you get episodes that are intertwined where you get all 3 of these characters. Now you also have Maximus, who is a character who's also introduced in the very first episode, and he's kind of like the militia or military man who's a part of this brotherhood, who seems to want to seize control over a certain area of the wasteland, or maybe all the wasteland, or this certain specific area of this post-apocalyptic world. The Brotherhood, which they're known as, are this group of people that has these giant, cool, robotic, almost what would you call them? Almost like cybernetic suits, so to speak. And I'm pretty sure, if I can remember back, that's how you play in the game. You actually play as one of those suits. Well, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. I think in the game you're a part of that Brotherhood. Well, Maximus is a part of that Brotherhood, but he's sort of like a grunt. Like he's really low in the level rankings, and he gets treated really badly, and all he wants is to succeed and sort of level up, and he wants to become the actual special ops guy, like the one controlling the suit. He wants to be in the suit, but he never really gets there. He's sort of a grunt, and he gets oftentimes very disrespected and whatnot. And so his story really, and his struggle, is about him trying to find him place in this militia, in this world, and whatnot. And so in episode 1, he's sent out on this mission with this certain person. As the story goes on, of course, the mission has to change a little bit, and so you have these 3 very compelling stories they're all very different, but they do oftentimes intertwine each other. Like in the second episode, I think it is, like the ghoul or Cooper, he ends up running into Lucy and Maximus, and like that's the first time we sort of see them all together, and he and the ghoul, like he just unleashes havoc, and they do a pretty good job. I thought they could have went a little bit further into it, but they do a decent amount of they do a decent job at explaining how the ghouls exist and why they exist and why or how somebody could become a ghoul. I think they could have went down that road a little bit more. I think they could have like dedicated almost a full episode to it, but instead they sort of, I mean, they kind of do, I guess. There is an episode titled The Ghouls, but you know what I mean. I kind of wish we had went a little deeper with the ghouls, but it was still fun to see, really cool to see overall. And so that in a nutshell is what the story is about. It's about 3 different stories really, trying to get from point A to point B, but along the way they intertwine, while also, you know, there's other threats in there as well. Lucy, especially Lucy's story, I mean, it's really focused on her. She's the main character, but by the time you get to the finale, when you see her story arc and everything that she sort of goes through, you can really see that her character had a lot of development, and you can sort of see partnerships and stuff developing in characters that you might not have thought. From the beginning, you would think, wow, they're never going to work together, but then by the end, you're like, oh, maybe they will work together, and stuff like that. So the show did a really good job at, you know, telling the story and handling each of these characters and giving them their due diligence. But if I were to complain about the series, one little tiny nitpick that I would give it is probably that I just kind of wish there was a little bit more action. You know, the video games were just like pedal to the metal action. Now I do think there is enough action. There is enough action to be satisfied. There is at least one action sequence in, as far as I can tell, pretty well every episode. I don't think any episode had a full episode where there was no action at all, but I do wish that there had been a little bit more action sequences, especially with the Brotherhood. I would have loved to get to see you know, their whole faction of the military, or their whole thing of militia. It would have been cool to see where they go, and it would have been cool to see them in action a little bit more. I think I would imagine there's a season 2, or maybe they already did confirm a season 2. I would say in season 2 we'll get a little bit more of the Brotherhood, but Lucy had some really great moments, and Ella Purnell, like I said, did a phenomenal job with her. All the performances were phenomenal. The writing was really good too, actually, and even the directing and special effects were all done really well. And in my opinion, this was probably one of the best, if not the best, video game adaptation that we've probably ever gotten. I personally was not a fan of The Last of Us. I love the video games, but I didn't really like the series. I thought the series was too slow. Was kind of same complaint, I guess. Should have had a little more action. I love the performances by Joel and whatnot, but I just thought that, you know, I really thought The Last of Us could have been a little bit more. Even though I did love it, it could have been a lot more. And I kind of feel like that with Fallout. I really loved the world that they set up. I loved the characters, and even the story for the most part was good. It was just it was a very basic story, but then again, it's a very basic premise. It's just, you know, trying to survive this post-apocalyptic world. So they do a really good job at drawing in the emotion and making you root for really all of these characters to some degree, except maybe the ghoul. You kind of like, he's kind of more of like an anti-hero or even a nemesis, but you know, you still connect with him, especially when you get to the very last episode and it's really revealed what he's out looking for. You really connect with him then and whatnot. So overall, I did really enjoy the series. If I had to put a number on it, I'd probably give it like 75%, just because I wish there was a little bit more action to it. But overall, I really had a lot of fun watching it, and I probably would watch it again, like season 1, and I'll definitely watch season 2. I will keep watching it as long as it comes out, but you know, I had a lot of fun with it. I just wish there was a little bit more action. So with that being said, folks, that's my review of Fallout. Let me know in the comment section below if you've seen it, and if you'd like to tell me why or why not you like this video, click that subscribe button, and until the next one, take care.